COPWATCH, policing the police every single day.
This is bullshit. The Charlotte County Sheriff Bill Prummell puts everything out on his Facebook and in the paper to crucify, and now he doesn't on this one. Why? Is the killer a rich person, a cop's son? What is he hiding? What is he protecting? He crucifies every other thing for 9 years and all of a sudden this one he wants to keep it secret. This stinks like hell. Put Bill in prison for his crimes against the people of Charlotte County. A vision in grace and loveliness. Autumn Higgs, 16, was already taking college classes. Death investigation remains open. By Nancy J. Seaman. Staff writer. Port Charlotte Karen Mercer wants people to know about her granddaughter Autumn Higgs. Autumn Higgs, 16, of Port Charlotte, died in a shooting in Englewood on March 31. Authorities did not disclose the death until pressed by the media this week, now saying it is still under investigation by the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit. Karen Mercer recalled the day Higgs died after the shooting in an Englewood home. "It was a beautiful, sunny day," Mercer said. "Autumn wore a navy sundress with white polka dots and had me tie the bow in the back." Mercer said Higgs took pride in her appearance. "She had to have perfect hair and nails, she was a little lady, she was a vision in grace and loveliness." See Autumn, 5a. Autumn Higgs traveled extensively with her family, including the Grand Canyon. One of her favorite places was Arizona, especially Sedona. Photo provided. Autumn. From page 1a. Friends, family. Her grandmother said she and her teenage granddaughter had a good relationship. The two were more than grandmother and granddaughter, they were friends, despite their age difference. Mercer is 77. "Autumn and I have never had an argument." Mercer said Higgs and her mother, Denise Mercer, lived with her since Autumn was 4 years old. At the time, they lived in Michigan, but when Karen Mercer moved to Florida, Higgs said she wanted to come with her grandmother. While still in high school, Higgs was enrolled in the State College of Florida and had completed 1 semester online. She would have turned 17 on May 25. Instead of having weekends and summers off, she worked straight through so she could graduate early and begin her career. She hadn't quite decided what, but was interested in real estate and law. One of her friends, Elizabeth Gerber, is a realtor, and one of her cousins, Jacqueline Harlow, is a federal judge in Colorado. Gerber and Harlow served as mentors. Gerber of Paradise Exclusive Real Estate in Englewood mentored Higgs in that field. "I was very close to Autumn," Gerber said. "I talked to her about getting into real estate and a job with a brokerage. She had huge dreams, and she had the momentum and the soul to accomplish them. She was amazing, she was smart, beautiful, and passionate about life." March 31. On the morning of March 31, Higgs went to the SCF Venice campus as she was having difficulty enrolling in courses online for the fall semester. She said goodbye to her grandmother and drove off in the 2014 Chevrolet Malibu that Mercer gave to her. "I bought the car when Autumn was 10 and said if she was a good girl, it would be her car when she turned 16, Mercer recalled. The day went on, and by 11 p.m. Higgs' curfew she had not arrived home. Mercer said Higgs had never broken curfew and she was angry. Mercer fell asleep shortly after 11 p.m. and awoke at 12:30 a.m. A series of texts and calls to Higgs' phone went unanswered. "I went back to bed and awoke when the dogs were going wild, barking," she said. Mercer said she saw flashlights coming up my sidewalk through the dark. She remembered asking herself, "Are you kidding me? Is Autumn in a car accident?" She also thought her granddaughter had a motor vehicle violation and she remembered being angered. One of the officers told Mercer he had some bad news and then told her Higgs died after an accidental shooting, she said. Quiet officials. After more than a month of silence to the rest of the community and not answering a reporter's questions earlier in the week, the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office released information Friday on Higgs' death. The Daily Sun reported on the shooting Wednesday. On Friday, after other media outlets sought information, a news release confirmed details the Daily Sun reported through 911 transcripts, incident reports, medical examiner reports, EMS dispatch records and speaking to the family of the victim. In order to maintain the integrity of the investigation, as well as to protect the mental health and identity of all parties involved, the decision was made to let the investigation progress prior to any information being released, the news release said. The teen boy who was involved in the shooting incident with Autumn has not been identified, and nobody has been arrested, according to jail booking records. The report states the incident was the accidental discharge of a firearm. The case has been forwarded to the state attorney's office. In the early morning hours after the shooting, deputies responded for a mentally ill person at the sheriff's substation on Wilmington Boulevard, Englewood, just a few blocks from the home where Higgs was shot. The boy was extremely distraught following the incident and made several statements in regards to suicide, to include telling law enforcement officers present on scene, "Shoot me," an incident report reads in part. The Daily Sun learned of the death when the victim's father reached out to the newspaper wanting to confirm or debunk social media rumors that his daughter had been shot and killed. "I'm trying to find out if she's still alive, I can't get hold of her, and I can't find an obit," Joe Higgs said earlier this week. CCSO said in its news release that the next of kin was immediately notified. The home where she was shot is currently empty. A sterling life. Not wanting to dwell on that day, Mercer said she wants the public to know her granddaughter led a sterling life, helping both people and animals. She had 2 dogs, her grandmother had 1. Binky was the one always by her side and in bed at night with Higgs. Mercer said the dog hasn't wanted to eat or take treats since Higgs was killed, and the dog looks as if it's in mourning, she said. For a 16-year-old, Higgs traveled extensively, most times with her grandmother, and with a cousin Jason and her cousin Jacqueline Harlow. Higgs has been to Arizona several times where a relative lives. Mercer said Higgs' favorite place is Sedona, and she went to the Grand Canyon and Flagstaff while out there. Higgs enjoyed skiing and snowboarding in Aspen, and she visited Telluride, Colorado in the summer. Also, she's been to San Francisco several times, to Mackinac Island and Traverse City in Michigan, to the Hamptons on Long Island, an amusement park in Ohio numerous times, to Virginia Beach, and once spent a week on Cape Cod with her family. Mercer said the family would gather with Higgs and play pinochle. With her grandmother, she played Gin Rummy 500 and she beat me every time, Mercer said. When Higgs' uncle Jeff Mercer would visit the area, she liked to ride one of his personal watercraft and had me on back, Mercer remembered. One of her other local activities was shopping at the mall at University Town Center in Sarasota, Mercer said. In the mansion. Mercer said her house, whose sale was pending at the time of Higgs' death, will close May 12. After that, she plans to build a home in South Gulf Cove, moving forward with plans that she and Higgs made together. At Higgs' memorial service, Harlow gave the eulogy. She quoted from John 14:1-4, which reads in part, "In my Father's house are many mansions." Mercer thinks about that passage. If Autumn can't be here, let her be in one of the many mansions, she said. Although Higgs needed her grandmother, Mercer said she needed Higgs. But now she's in the mansion. Autumn Higgs had 2 dogs, and her grandmother had 1. Her favorite was Binky. Her grandmother, Karen Mercer, said the dog has refused food and treats since Higgs' death. She believes the dog is in mourning. Photo provided. The house on Euler Avenue in Englewood East was a crime scene last month after a reported shooting. The home is now vacant. Sun photo by Elaine Allen Emmerich.
A community search for answers after a 16-year-old was found dead inside a home with a gunshot wound. Investigators conducted a death investigation at the house on Euler Avenue in Englewood back on March 31st, and tonight's the first time we're hearing about it. Detectives say other minors are involved in this case. New at 6, Wink News reporter Erica Jackson gives us insight on what happened that night.
No, she's not breathing. She's not moving at all.
A teenage girl dead, shot in a back bedroom.
I don't know. I was in my room and...
That was on March 31st. Brandon Riggs of New Mexico called the Englewood Sun a month later, said the victim of the shooting is his daughter, 16-year-old Autumn Riggs. He told the newspaper he learned about the shooting on social media.
No, she's not.
She's not awake?
She's not awake.
Neighbors in Englewood East told me they remembered first responders on Euler Avenue, recalled deputies spending days in and out, collecting evidence, blocking off the street.
We heard the sirens coming in, and then it just seemed like it never ended. It just kept on coming, and more and more and more.
But the sheriff's office never announced deputies were investigating a fatal shooting. According to a sheriff's office report, a minor involved in the shooting threatened to tie himself with seatbelts in a Charlotte County Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle and said, "My life is over. There is no moving on from this." Deputies placed him into protective custody under the Baker Act. Deputies say the shooting was accidental, so why are we just learning about it now? A spokesperson told us it notified the victim's relatives, but apparently not the girl's father. Her statement went on to say they wanted to maintain the integrity of the investigation, protect the mental health of all parties, and let the investigation progress before releasing any information. In Englewood East, Erica Jackson, Wink News. Now.
The Sheriff's Office told us it handed over the case to the state attorney. That office will determine if charges should be filed.